Your Grace, Most Reverend Alfred Adewale Martins, the Archbishop of Lagos, all the other hierarchies of the Archdiocese here present, Archbishop Adegbite of the Methodist Church and President of CAN, all the brothers and sisters of Jesus, good morning to you all. The good Lord has gathered us together in this church this morning to wrap up an historical synodal process which began in October 2021 in preparation for the Synod of Bishops that will hold in Rome October 2023. The Pope has called the whole church on a journey which involves not just the bishops, but the entire people of God. Whatever Pope Francis means by synodality, he clearly does not mean a process of democratization or putting the church's doctrine up for a vote. He means a structured conversation among all the people of God for the sake of hearing the voice of the Spirit. Some of the questions that the Synod poses for our consideration are captured thus. Do we allow each other to make our contributions to the whole, since we know that there are people in the church who are disconnected, who feel marginalized and sometimes hurt? Are we listening to and supporting one another as much as we could? What forums do we have for doing this? Can they be improved or new ones created? What is our experience of walking together? Are the clergy too clerical, control maniacs? Or conversely, are the laity allowing the clergy to shepherd them as the clergy are called to? How do the young people and the elderly feel within the church? These are the questions that bother on our minds during this process. The first reading for this day on the memorial of St. Barnabas is quite instructive as we learn a few things from both the church at Antioch and the personality of Barnabas, who serves the habits of the mind and heart needed for a fruitful participation in the Synod. The Holy Spirit said, "Set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them." I would like to delineate this phrase of the Holy Spirit. The first part, the Holy Spirit said. It was in the process of worshiping the Lord, coupled with pious acts, that the Holy Spirit spoke. The message of the Holy Spirit would have been lost on the church at Antioch if they had not been attentive, if they had not listened. Therefore, the church at Antioch proves to be an attentive and a listening community. Like the church at Antioch, who was at prayer, our gathering at this liturgy, as with every liturgical assembly, is to listen for the voice and promptings of the Lord as we worship. However, being attentive is not one-directional, nor is it a one-time action. No, it is an attitude. A remarkable attitude that helps us to listen to one another and not repeat the mistake of the past committed by the disciples of the Lord and the crowd, who would not allow blind Bartimaeus to speak. Mark's Gospel, chapter 10. Bartimaeus, being an abandoned and blind beggar on the periphery of Jericho, no one listens to him. When he tries to speak, everyone tells him to be quiet. Jesus, however, invites him to speak when he says to Bartimaeus, "What do you want me to do for you?" It is not hard to guess that Bartimaeus wants to regain his sight. But the important point here is that Jesus takes his time to listen. This listening, or what Pope Francis calls the apostolate of the ear, listening before speaking, is the new attitude we are to embrace, and is one that is placed before us in the Archdiocese of Lagos by the example of the church in Antioch. If the church in Antioch were notable for being an attentive community, the church in the Archdiocese of Lagos, by this synod, is also following in that footstep to become a church that listens, to be a community that is attentive. Cultivating the attitude of listening promises us to become a church where every one of us can talk and listen about our lives in the church, can listen and talk about our real situations, whether they are painful or they are joyful. We will always communicate.